All right, let's hope that this thing's working. All right, come on, baby. Excellent. Here we go. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to What Are You Painting Now? So, this is our 5 minutes of Gremlins. All right, if you guys have questions in the chat, first time streaming. Now, I'm always getting murdered for how I pronounce names. So how should I pronounce your name? Januin? Januin? I've got no idea, man. And as you guys may have noticed, my voice is just slightly shredded. So forgiveness, please. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat here and seeing what you guys ask. And I'll try and answer some questions here at the start. All right. So, do we have any questions from yourself? Genuine. Right. Jan. All right. Cool. No, I remember asking you this before at some point in time, but that was a while back. It wasn't quite as stress-inducing as pronouncing Davith's name, which is like 7 F's and a Y, and there's a V in there somewhere, and you're like, how? I'm not exactly sure how that makes Davith. Um, how you doing, Tristan? Mm. Okay, cool. Which one are you on, Beast of War? Because usually I try and just go by people's usernames, because I try and keep privacy, all of that sort of thing. Yeah, well, privacy doesn't seem to be as much of an issue for the mini giant, of course. Yeah, privacy doesn't seem to be as much of an issue for the Chinese, does it? Just slightly. It's not as much of a thing. Um, how is your quest to actually get some hobby in going over there? Yeah. You remember? I remember you telling me about that. Like, this is the last place that you called Irish Steve. Oh man, that hurricane video thing was just the worst thing in the world. Oh, I'm just like, yeah. I know that you're not Chinese. I'm just talking about China and the government. China, killing us in trade. China. But yeah, um, yeah. It looks like we're all foreigners. Yeah, no, it can't. It can't. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be making my company named Calidors, because one, that's the name I go by everywhere online, and two, um, I think it's not a bad name or anything. Um, but the other thing is, apparently it means like shallow water fishery in Spanish. And I'm just like, oh, sure. Okay. All right. I thought it sounded like a cool name, but Oh, so I'm just going to do a quick check over on the Beast of War website, see how things are going over there. All right. Da-da. I'll see if Ori wants to come over to the stream. Do. Man, I am just loving technology today. Oh, here's one for you guys. How have you been enjoying the music? All right, it looks like we're just about to hit the 8 o'clock mark. So I'm gonna go for it, go for gold, as they say, and we'll get right into it. Yeah, yeah, that's one of the main things, isn't it? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to What Are You Painting Now? We are currently about 5, 10 minutes into the program, and we have just been going ahead and having a chat with some of the people here on the stream. All right, if you've got a question about something or a comment about a particular picture, I'm going to read it out on stream. All right. So we're starting off with said stuff, and I think that they're very nice. But for me, I really like when skulls have that more sort of particular bone color than the white color. It's just a thing about taste. Um, for me, I feel like it has a much better feel to it. But of course, you've always got to remember the context of what you're going to be playing them with. So, for example, if these are in the catacombs or something like that, these are going to be much, much more suitable. All right. So, beautiful work from Seth. Um, as far as any improvements that could be done, I can't really see them. It's just a showpiece. As far as I go, I think that this is far more like a catacombs piece for the skulls than it is for an open ground area. All right. So next up, we've got our good old man Andy, or as is known here, Sotonus Polinios. All right, and Andy has some beautiful marines up here. Now, the problem I always have with these guys is that unfortunately, when you take a look at them, there's not a whole lot to look at. But that is the problem with camouflage. You know, if you're taking a look at something and it looks exactly the opposite of the environment, it's not exactly camouflage, is now, folks. Um, but one thing that I do particularly like is how the guns help break up the miniatures. I think that that's a very important part of this. You know, otherwise you're going to have some very, very bland looking models. But I do think that Andy puts a lot of work into doing up all of the various packs, all of those various little bits of webbing and such, so that you can see all of those little bits of detail. He really goes for gold on these things, and I really do give him a hard time when he puts up the historicals. Remember, guys, if you want to add anything, just go for it. Add it in the chat, and I will read it out. All right, so next up, we've got Evil Stu, and now I'm not going to give a full commentary on this, but one of the things that he's doing is he's showing off some of his works in progress. And currently, he's starting off with this bloke right here. Now, I think that he's starting to look really good. He's a very, very interesting piece. I believe that he's for Frostgrave. I can't say for sure, but I'm unsure as to where the model comes from. I think that he's gone really well with the colors. Like, I like the red against the yellow with the blue. Of course, primary color scheme looks pretty darn good to me. All right, and we're just going to see a couple of works in progress here, but of course, we're going to see more as it goes on. All right, and we've got a comment from Ori in a Bag. Thank you so much for the kind words, and to the rest of the people. It's an overwhelming well of inspiration. Sorry, overflowing. Oh, it's an old. So apparently, this Jaseni Oh man, well you can tell that this is live because nobody would pronounce any name like that. He's just told me that this is apparently an old Rackham confrontation model. They have some very, very, very good models, those people. So yeah, uh, I don't know about that or in a bag. When, when I saw your piece, I was much shamed. All right, so we've got a new bloke here. All right, Baron von Uppercase. Very nice name. Very nice name. Um, so he's doing a Frostgrave warband. Now, I'm just going to get this out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, just because we know where my heart lies. What's going on with the bases, man? What's happening with these bases? So he's done up some absolutely beautiful models. I'm gonna see if I can. No, I can't. I wanted to get a bit of a better view on these ones, but unfortunately, I'm doing this in a different browser so that I can do this sort of streaming stuff. So I think that these guys look really, really good. So take a look at the way that he's done some of these gemstone effects. Just absolutely freaking beautiful. But one of the things that I particularly like about this is how he does the very muted but clashing color scheme. So we've got the red in here with the leggings, which also match up with the book. And we've got that beautiful blue cloak, right? And we see something similar over here. And once again, in that very sort of muted tone. You know, for this would be usually a very muted blue, but for this, that's quite a brilliant blue, and we've got muted greens and sort of drab olive and that sort of thing. But yet it really works because of the whole color scheme being very muted. But I tell you what, the layering and the skill on display here, just absolutely beautiful. So Baron von Uppercase, welcome, and I hope that you have found this a very welcoming place to be, because usually people don't get that kind of score, man, because that's a pretty amazing score, and I'm really surprised that I missed this one when I was going through things. So next up, we've got Andre 77, and he is finishing up some of his Chaos Warriors. Now, I particularly like this green that goes with these models right here. I think that it's a great clash of colors between the green and the blue, like we saw before, but you can see here it's much more overstated, and that's fine, right? When it comes to 40K models, you're going to see things which are considerably more overstated, because when it comes to 40K models, they are pretty gaudy, let's be honest, but I like them. Yeah, no, for sure. The Chaos Chosen Lord is looking very nice, Irish Steve. So one of the things that I like is just the more subtle things that are going on in this. So it is very easy to miss some of these things, but take a look at that very nice subtle layering, that nice edging in there, which just brings things up a bit. And of course, as you know, I tell you guys that it's always a bit of a nightmare to bring things up when it comes with these sorts of black cloaks. But the thing that I really like is that he has just these nice, bold gray lines, right? Now, take a look at how neat they are. It's very, very nice, the way that it's done. But, of course, I'm not just here to blow smoke. So the thing for me, right, is I take a look at some of these green ephemera and souls popping out of the ground. And the thing I think is, we could just add a bit of other colors somewhere with these bases, give it a little bit extra, whether it's the eyes or something like that, giving a sort of etherealness to it. But I think the models themselves just come up pitch perfect. They look absolutely brilliant. All right. So next up, we've got Gorillas with a Brush, and he's just commenting that he's going to take another thing. And next up, we have Pierre, who, of course, you know what, ignored everything that I said and did not put up a story here. Just a few comments. It's all right. I don't feel insulted at all. That, you know, after that he just got a community button. I don't feel sorry at all. So he's done some absolutely beautiful work with this stuff, but apparently it's a lot of his friends' involvement as well. See, this for me is a lot more visceral when it comes to the World War II stuff. When I take a look at this, right, I think that looks so much more beautiful than these muted troops, right? Because when you see these guys in action here, it just has such a level of richness to it. So often they're just in mute fields, but here, seeing them fighting over something, it gives a real sense of purpose and a real sense of context to all of this. And I think that these look absolutely beautiful, these little scenes, and it helps immerse you in your games, or at least it would for me. I don't know how it is for the rest of you. Yeah, it is a beautiful, beautiful gaming table all around the bag. And if I know your guys' handles on Beast of War, that's what I'm going to go by, because I don't know how you guys are, but I try and respect everyone's privacy. That's a bit of a thing for me. Yeah, for sure, without a doubt, RST, just amazing levels of detail, like these little hedges and the flowers within them. Just freaking beautiful. Now, usually this is the part where I'd give some criticism, but unfortunately, I cannot. So, next up is a bit of my commentary. All right, so we're starting out with Lornor's stuff, and apparently he had to run it through a spell checker to make sure that it was 100% brisk free. See, I feel really bad after reading through all of that stuff. No problem. We will see you around, man. So he's just got to head out to work on a Sunday. On a Sunday. As far as I understand, it's a long weekend over there. Oh, terrible, terrible stuff. But of course, that's China. China for you. So he just goes through his whole sort of process here, and he's been doing this for a while. So I'm just going to read it out verbatim. I started work around 8:30 this morning, and it's 9:15 at night, and I just finished painting the green-gray on the plate on 22 models. I'm following the guide in the faction book, even though I don't think it works too well and doesn't match the studio models that it claims to. Oh, yeah. I don't know anyone who has that problem. Games Workshop. All right. So they should look fine on the table, even if they don't close up. Tomorrow I paint the bone parts and then whatever details are left, hopefully leaving only the green glow. All right. So the reason why I've been going through this is because I keep coming back to this comment of painting as a process. Now, when we get to my walkways, I think you'll see what I mean. It's just such a pain. And the thing is that a lot of people, when they see these new models, they just see the finished product and they don't get an idea of how much work goes into these things and how much effort that a lot of people put into these things. And see, I think that it both demotivates some people and, you know, devalues people's own work. But that, of course, is just my opinion. So feel free to say otherwise. Oh, and if you guys know some people on the website and want to start communicating with them in the chat, message them over there and bring them in here. All right. So Next up, we have the Good Doctor, Dr. Ether, and he's showing off one of his Kingdom Death pieces, which he managed to get in the newsletter for Kingdom's Death, which is, you know, quite an achievement. It's one that he's achieved before, but the Good Doctor does do a lot of brilliant painting. Now, once again, for me, the whole skull thing, I much prefer the more bone look to it, but that's more of a preference. I think we see some absolutely beautiful, beautiful color contrast here. Now, see, for this for me, right, the way that he's done up the base, just borders on whether I would let it go with my 3-element basing rule. I think that it looks really nice, and you don't have a lot of room with these bases to play around with. And the final note for this is I think that it's something that he often does very, very well. But the Good Doctor does absolutely beautiful work with skin. Take a look at that, ladies and gentlemen. And he can do a variety of skin tones. But hopefully the Good Doctor will put up a guide one of these days. All right, so next up, didn't see the vid. He didn't see the vid. Oh, that's all right. That's fine. I'm fine. It's fine. So next up, we've got more of Pierre's work. And hello, he Kurturn. Oh my God, I'm so bad at names. He Conneru. So I hope you can hear me through that. So Pierre's is doing up some absolutely, absolutely beautiful work with his historicals. But once again, for me, I have a lot of trouble with historicals because I'm it's the Entombed. Hey, Entombed. So my problem with historicals is I think he does absolutely, absolutely beautiful work with the weathering and such, right? And you can see such skill on display. But the problem is that when it comes to these historicals, they are so plain. They are so plain, and by design. I mean, they're all historically accurate. But just for me, I take a look at them and I'm just like, oh, where is the vibrancy? Where is the great colors and all of the richness? I want so much. I don't know which actor I was going for there. Apparently, Lord Squeakerton. All right, next up, we've got Irish Steve. So, Irish Steve. And of course, if you want to give some comments on your piece, feel free to, and I will relay it to everyone. So what I really like about this piece is, hey, Evil Stu, what I really like about this piece is how he's done it so that all of the typical blue on this piece is considerably darker, which allows him to bring up everything else. So he's sort of done the Gilliman model as a Death Watch piece. At least that's how it looks in my eyes. Now, I really, really love this blue flame effect right here. I'm going to see if we've got a, yeah, all right. That's just beautiful. Yeah, I think that we'll go with this picture for the greater majority of it until we go over that side. All right. Oh, it's a commission piece. Client wanted him as Death Watch, apparently. Well, I think that you did just brilliant, brilliant work with him. I'm unsure as to where you actually got the shoulder pad from. Is it just standard Death Watch, or did you do something together with it? So the thing with this is just the mixing of that black is just freaking beautiful. Okay, yeah, he said that he's sick of seeing the red flaming swords, but for me, I think that it really helps match with the theme of this model. So he's that very sort of imperial, very sort of cold and calculating sort of guy. He doesn't have that sort of fiery temper that you would associate with, say, the lion or something like that. So I think that that's come together really well. But what I want you guys to take a look at is in here, right? Take a look at inside each of these black panels, right? And you see that just beautiful, beautiful gradient paint job. Yeah, and so we're getting a lot of comments in here about this one. So Evil Stu says that he absolutely loves it, and I can see why. He says that it looks very gritty rather than overly polished. And see, I think that's a really good look for this piece, but we'll see another Gilliman later. And in the other direction, I think it can look really good too. All right, so Aura in a Bag said that will be one happy client. I have to agree. And Iris said, I switched the pauldrons around and used a Deathwatch Terminator pauldron from the upgrade sprue. Swapped out the Dead Chaos Marine for a converted Gene Stealer to go with the Deathwatch theme. Without a doubt, man. It looks absolutely freaking brilliant. And one thing, I love the way that you've done up the guts there. I think that looks absolutely, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And we can all see why he got so many likes as he did. And now, after that previous one, I've got myself being a bit paranoid, making sure that okay. Yeah, that was a close ones. Right. So let's see who we have next up. Yeah, I'm just going to focus on this for just all of 5 seconds. God, it just looks so beautiful, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? And see, this, of course, is the result of hours and hours and hours of work. So the thing is, when it comes to this sort of thing, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, nothing starts finished. If you want this, you can get it. It's going to take you a lot of work, but you can get to that. All right, so next up, we've got Sed. And so this is just a bit of a work in progress, and he's showing off some evil hats. So, yeah, they're the Mimic set of furniture. So I think that it's very nice going from something like this, which is just such beauty, such polish, and then just going down and seeing, we have so many different people, and I absolutely love seeing that switch right here. All right, so next up we have Lawn Orr, and he's doing up, of course, the bone and the leather that he was talking about before. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say that this is the thing, right? You've got to keep working on things, right? If you want to get that just absolutely beautiful result, you're going to have to put in just that extra bit of work. All right. So we've got a few comments from Evils too, and I'm glad that you guys are giving him some of the feedback. But I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, that's not +6. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. All right. So next up, we got Doug the Thug. And he's doing some of his bases for Blood and Plunder. Now, you guys know how much I love bases. So I really love seeing him do this up. Unfortunately, we've got a bit of the fuzzy logic going on here, but we see a finished up base here, and it is just absolutely beautiful. Now, when I talk about those 3 elements things, ladies and gentlemen, just remember that you can get them with quite a bit. So take a look here, right? You've got the wood panels, you've got the nails, you've got the wood grain, right? Way more than 3 elements, right? 3 elements does not mean that there must be dust, there must be rocks, there must be everything. It just means that you've got to make sure that there's at least 3 elements on a base in the same manner that you've got to make sure that there's 3 colors on a model to make it look, passable. So I think that these look absolutely beautiful. Now, I don't know who these guys are. I'm guessing these guys can't be the Aztecs, can they? I do not know. I do not know. I'm unsure whether they're finished or not. I'm going to do a quick bit of reading. So I'm unsure as to whether these finished or not. I do think that it's good seeing a bit of color on these guys, seeing that big bit of red and seeing, a bit of color on these guys. Because, when it comes to historicals, I'm always saying the same thing over and over again. Just where is the color? And it is so nice seeing the Spaniards, because just with the Spaniards, take a look at all of that color, ladies and gentlemen. Just mwah, absolutely beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. And here we go. We've got one guy finished up, and I think that wow, take a look at the level of detail that's gone into that. I'd say that this bloke looks more like an Englishman than a Spaniard, judging by the color scheme and the fact that he's got the shaved face. But yeah, take a look at the way that he's done up all of the pouches, all of those little extra details, just beautiful. And when it comes to these, it is often a bit of a nightmare to get these things going, because there is just so much to do on some of the times models that aren't the best. But I think that these Blood and Plunder models have come up quite nicely. All right, next up, we've got the Good Doctor once again with some more of his survivors. Now, see, this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the way that he does up skin. I think that it's come up just beautifully, right? And once again, I would say that when it comes to the base, it borders between whether it passes or not, at least for me. Now, I think that you have some just absolutely, absolutely beautiful work with the cloth right here, but it almost takes away from this right here, which is actually non-metallic metals, if you go and take a look at it, right? And that takes a lot of skill, but what it does do is it allows you to do some very, very nice shading in these ones. Yeah, without a doubt. So Irish Steve said, great job on the chrome sword. I think that looks really good, but I will give a bit of critique. I do think that I don't think the blood has blended in that well with that. But what I really do like on this other model over here is that just absolutely beautiful, beautiful source lighting coming from this right here. I think that just looks, gorgeous. Now, there's not much that I can add when it comes to these ladies, other than he really does do just beautiful skin. And we have our Steve giving some commentary, and see even Pierre shows off. You guys have to put in that work. He's just adding the base colors. And we have my good friend Brushstrokes showing off some of his stuff. Now, I absolutely love seeing what he's done up with these things. So he's been doing up this. Take a look at that, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just going to scroll back up after that, and I'm going to read out what he said. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Breaststroke says, thanks everyone for the likes and the feedbacks on my display board so far. I've plucked up the courage and finally made a start on the vegetation for the board. I've been not looking forward to it, but it needs doing. Here's a couple of progress pics thus far. Now, see, this would be an absolute nightmare, because see, the thing is, you're going to have to be working with this rubbery stuff, and I'm not sure whether he primed it or not, or what he did when he came to those things, but working with these things and color, just they are so resistant to paint, because they still have all of the oils on them from when they came out of the machine. See, most of this is injection molded stuff, right? I'd say that this is single injected molded thing for the tree, and then just a whole lot of other pieces that are put on from someplace in China. But I couldn't say for sure. But the thing is, it's going to have like a lot of grease on it. If you want to do something like this, my recommendation before starting out would be get some detergent and a hot sink and just wash them in there for a minute. And that's going to give you a big head start. But just this naturalistic look compared to this, oh, just freaking beautiful. Oh, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. So next up, we've got one of the staff. We got Lanzacor, who does his own stream, which I never have any idea which is on, which always upsets me. But I think that I've had a few things going on. So we're just going to switch over to this for just a minute, and I'm just going to give a few comments on this one, and then hopefully we will have something a bit more on that one. All right, so thus far, I like the color scheme, what's going on with it, but the big thing is, for me, I think that it looks really nice when it comes to the color contrast. But of course, this, to me, it's not finished till it's got a base, mate. It's not finished till it's got a base. So let's see if we see a bit more. So just another picture of the front and the back. But I'm surprised he didn't put the back on there, because I think that's where most of the good stuff is. All right. Now I'm just going to take a minute from doing this, and I'm going to see if we have some people saying things, because that's what it said. Oh, apparently I'm offline. Excellent. That's excellent. 100%. All right, guys. Interesting. That was interesting. So I think that it looks really good. I like the contrast between the white, the blue, and the maroon color there, as well as the gold accents. For me, I think that it just wants a bit of a wash in here, like maybe one that's double thinned. But other than that, I think that it looks really good. All right. Hey, Brushstrokes Online. All right, I'm just going to send a quick message to old matey, and hopefully he'll join us here in the thing. If it's going to, no, of course. Nothing works on my computer, ladies and gentlemen. But if one of you want to send a message to Brushstrokes and invite him over here to the chat, I would absolutely love that. I'm just going to make sure that we are still going on this. All right, currently it looks like that it's stuck on the other one. Have we gone down yet? No? Yes? No? Maybe so? Yeah, there's a bit of a delay when it comes to the cast. All right, so next up, we've got Janice with a bit of feedback, and I always love seeing these little bits of feedback, because the thing is, that's what keeps people coming back, right? Now, I absolutely adore this base, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this base. Oh my God, is it gorgeous? Don't go away, please. All right. So this base, it looks kind of busy here, right? But it looks so naturalistic, right? Which is absolutely beautiful. I love this gray contrasting with these browns. Evil Stu says, really nice highlighting on the wings and on the veins and the legs too. Yeah, I think that's come across really well, very naturalistically. So this would be layering. I couldn't say for sure, but I would say that this is either the result of dry brushing or the result of airbrushing. Whichever the case is, I'm unsure, but I tell you what, it's come out just beautifully. Now, this is much more a taste thing, but I think the thing for me that I would like to see on this is just a bit of color in those eyes to sort of give that sort of demonic look to it. All right, do go away, people. How do I? All right, excellent. It never comes up on the other one, does it? All right. But this is because we're all live. All right, so we've got the waff. All right, I'm not going to be reading that one out. All right, so next up, we've got Saturnus Polonius. And once again, we've got some more US Marines. Now, I really love what he's doing with these. Now, I do not know for the life of me whether this is a transfer or whether he's painting this stuff on. I think that it's a transfer. I really hope that it's a transfer, because if it's not a transfer, I'm going to lose my damn mind. Because, oh my good Lord, ladies and gentlemen, how beautiful is that? And of course, gorgeous work with the camo. But as a comment I said before, take a look at how the gun is now, right, in that much more sort of camouflage stage. And of course, this is because it's a sniper rifle and you don't want to get shot. You know, just throwing it out there, you know, not just for soldiers, most people, you don't want to get shot. Not a good place to be, ladies and gentlemen. So all of that, just unfortunately, when it's across the table, looks like one solid thing. And that's my problem with historicals. But yeah, I think absolutely beautiful work. All right, so next up, we've got Craig Douglas, and he's doing up some more of his, I'm not sure how to call this, candy red Marines, I guess, is one of the way of putting it. Super gloss. It's like I'm trying to think of not gun steel, is it? What's the maybe Corvette red? Yeah, I'll go with that. Corvette red Marines. And he does this very beautiful thing that he does with these. So it's just a very thin layer of red over the steel to give that sort of steel quality to everything. And I think that it comes up so nicely, because when we see it all done up, of course, it's going to look very different. All right, so we've got, I'm just going to go with Steve, because there's a lot in that name, and I just talked about privacy before. All right, so Steve says, I like the paint jobs that gives off that impression of artificial light, like the 40K power weapons. I love how people can make light reflect on armor and on the ground. I don't know how to achieve that effect. Okay, so we'll just scroll up for half a second, because I believe we're not. All right, I may have been like, no, here we are. Okay, so Steve, the way that you would get this right, I'd say, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I would say that this right here is the result of dry brushing. So he's gotten this color right here, not the white there, and then he's dry brushed that on. So yeah, Steve says that often, like they'll do it as Irish Steve, I should say, is done with a lot of very thin glazes. So one of the things that you can do is you can not water down your paints, but get a nice medium, and then get your medium base and then touch your color into that, right? So don't start out with your color as the base, but with your medium as the base, and then put the color into that, and then use that as a glaze. So yeah, I really like how this effect comes up. I think that it looks really good. But of course, once we see a bit more color on these things, I think that it's going to come up very nicely. All right, next up, we've got Pierre's, and he's finished off these. So we saw a lot of love for their base colors, but not as much for the finished product. Yeah, so Irish Steve brings up another thing of that dry brushing can leave a kind of gritty texture. But for me, I kind of like that with the light effects, because it sort of gives a sort of visceral feeling to me. But of course, that is just me. You know, we all have differences in our levels of taste, what we like, what we don't. So I think that this has come up really nicely. But once again, it is the curse of the historicals. Absolutely beautiful work when it comes to the dusting. Absolutely beautiful work when it comes to the uniform. And of course, the vehicle's weathering. Mwah! Absolutely perfect. Same with this one down here. Problem is, it's just not very exciting. So yeah, I always see these things and I always feel bad. All right. So next up, we've got Irish Steve. And now I have a great Inquisitor story, Inquisitor game where this guy comes from. I absolutely love this model, and I showed it off to my friend, who we had this this game with. So first off, beautiful work when it comes to the face, right? Just all of those levels of detail. Take a look at the wrinkles within the forehead. Oh, just gorgeous. All right. Now, the other thing for me is just all of those little bitty details, right? So, you know, within here, all of this, right? Just beautiful. But of course, this for me is the piece de la resistance, the master work. Because this is freehand, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look. It is absolutely beautiful, just breathtaking. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to these sorts of things, some of the times it actually, you know, makes it so that some people miss some of the other things. Like, for example, see the way that he's done up the sword. You know, it looks just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Aura in the bag just said, wow, wow, wow. Um, uh, so Evil Stu says, the face, the seals, the sword are awesome. I like the more muted colored on the swords, making it look menacing. Yes, so see, there is actually quite a bit of work when it comes to this sword. And I really love the almost granite look to it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Ira Steve says, thank you very much, guys. Cheers, guys. And look, you know, it's very well deserved. No problem, Steve. He's just saying that's our other Steve who's in the chat at the moment. Steve, if you want to give us your username, I'll use that because yeah, like I said, I want to keep people's privacy. And the big thing is for me, some of the times these are linked to your real names, so I don't want to give that out willy-nilly. And the other thing is this chat will disappear at the end of this. Oh yeah, so. Oh, I've forgotten which one he Conneru is. It's killing me. It's killing me. Gonna scroll back up. He Conneru. Entombed. There we go. Entombed. Yeah, so Entombed, yeah, he just said his name. Was commenting about how it just screams grimdark, and it really does. It's just so beautiful. And this for me is where 40K really shines, in that sort of story element. And that game I had with this guy, not this guy in particular, but it was just such a memorable event, and me and my mates still talk about it. And that's what you want out of these games. You want those memories more than anything. All right. So next up, we have even more pictures. Oh, take a look at that gem effect, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, just gorgeous. And this is one of the things I absolutely loved about the Inquisitor models. This level of detail. Like even the back of the foot had detail, which of course was absolutely fucking beautiful. That's a frick. I try and avoid swearing on these ones. All right, so next up we have brushstrokes with even more of the palm trees. Now I'm going to see if so I'm just going to read up what RST says. Thanks, Entombed. That's what I wanted to. It's all about the Grimtark. The skull was quicker to do than I thought it would be. Maybe just 2 hours or so. See, that's what I'm talking about, the work, ladies and gentlemen. That is what I'm talking about, the work. All right, I'm going to leave this one up for a second and just talk about how beautiful, just how beautiful those things are. The thing for me when it comes to these things is the amount of work that would have had to go into, you know, just getting it working, just getting it so that it's functional to paint with. So the big thing is when it comes to these, there's a lot of little detail works that you need to do. For example, one of the things would be doing just those little coconuts would be a lot of stuff with green stuff, a lot of work with green stuff. I'm not tripping over my words at all, not at all. So I think that it looks really good. And I guess the reason that I'm obsessing over it is because it's just a thing that everyone can do. All right. So Pastor Steve, that's what I'll use for the moment, says he uses real rocks and real dried moss on his gabling table. And he says, I don't see why I'd need to do that in plastic. Yeah, one of the things that I use is plaster. The big thing is for the reason why a lot of people do it in plastic is for storage. So rocks and that sort of thing can sometimes carry pathogens. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but when you buy aquatic rocks, be really careful for that, guys, because some people have gotten really, really sick from that sort of stuff. But the other thing is just plain old transport and storage. So I think that's why some people get it in plastic, Pastor Steve. All right, so let us move on. It's just a bit of feedback from me. All right, so next up, we've got Laughing Boy. And Laughing Boy is doing up some of his Bushido stuff. And it is looking just gorgeous. Now, I'm gonna try and see if that... I do not want to do the view image thing. Copy image location. Let's see if I can get this up. Oh, beautiful. How's that, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Now we're getting somewhere. So just beautiful work with the skin. Take a look at that, ladies and gentlemen. All of that is just gorgeous layering. Just lovely use of washes. You know, we can see it's come together so beautifully. I also really like the way that he's done his hair up. But one thing which I know looks good but is kind of understated is the yellow with all of these handles. Yellow is such a terrifically terrible color to work with. So the other thing is, I think that there is some great color contrast with this one. So this is where you can work your base into your color contrast. So we've got the green contrasting against the red and complementing the yellow, right? Just very subtle, but just beautiful. So I think that Laughing Boy's done a really absolutely beautiful piece here, right? And he's done up quite a few of them. I think that cropping would help you, Laughing Boy, if you're going to be doing up more of these photos. So just go ahead and just crop so that it's just this area, and you'll get just such better photos, because I think the photos themselves are great. I just think that this over here will distract a few people, and I think that you've obviously put in a tremendous amount of work into these. So just do that extra bit and you know you will get that better result. All right, so once again, it's the same sort of color scheme, same thing going on here, right? But take a look at that skin work, just absolutely beautiful skin work, right? We'll take a look in here and we'll see that skin work. Take a look at that right there, ladies and gentlemen. Just absolutely beautiful. All right, so we have some more from Laughing Boy, I believe. All right, see, I really, really love this pose on this guy. I think that this guy looks absolutely phenomenal. And take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. See, it does not require a lot to do the 3 elements when it comes to basing, right? So he's just done a bit of flock in there, you know, the shrub and some brown dirt. Now, I tell you what, the layering with all of these clothes, right, just gorgeous, just gorgeous. Now, I do believe I've seen this last before somewhere, and I tell you what, the skin work that Laughing Boy's been doing has just been absolutely gorgeous, hasn't it? Take a look at that right there, the way that he's done the skin work. I think over here, you know, once we close in a lot, it doesn't quite look as good, but I mean, wow, there is a tremendous level of effort in there. I think Laughing Boy, to go to the next level, you have to start working on eyes, because all of this has come together just so well, just so beautifully. All right. So, all right. Now, guys, you can feel free to riff on me all you like now. So I'm gonna give these fine people in the chat a chance to get their word in on my stuff, because of course I am terrible at commenting on my own stuff. So if any of you guys have anything to say on this stuff, you know, now is the time, or forever hold your peace. So the thing is, for me, I wanted to sort of show the process of how long these things take to do. So this is sort of the finished result right here, and it takes a lot of unorthodox tools to get to this stage. So, all right, I'm just going to take you through the process a bit. All right, what did I do with the toothbrush? All right, so our good man Warren from the site came on. All right, so I'll take you to the toothbrush part, Warren. So there is a great deal of work with this. All right, yeah, I'm really glad with the corrosion effects as well. All right, so Aura in a Bag said, I really dig the way the rust dirt has been done. All right, so this is what you have to do first, Warren. You've got to blue tack all of that in. Oh my God, the chat is going crazy. And then after that, you pour on the salt, and then you're going to put on 2 layers of your airbrush, or if you just want to do one spray, that's what you got to get going. And after that, what you do is you brush it off with, of course, the toothbrush. And the reason why you do that is because it's going to do a sort of edging technique with it. It's going to take it so that it's going to hit all of the sides of your pieces. And you'll see that despite the fact that salt isn't on all of these edges and that sort of thing, you'll see that with a lot of these edges, you'll see a lot of missing paint and such. I'll actually go up to the top one so that I can point that out a bit more. All right, so I'll go through all of the comments as soon as I scroll back up. Come on, buddy. Come on. All right, so Aura in the Bag said, I really dig the way the dirt rust has come on. All right, The Entombed says the corrosion effects are really great. Irish Steve says really nice weathering. Evil Stu says rusting is really nice. Clever use of cabling to bring in some color. Yeah, because you know how much I love color, guys. All right, Pastor Steve says I like dirty paint jobs once in a while. Orcs have to be dirty looking, otherwise you have a real problem. Or you could have like a princely orc is sort of an ironic thing. Why not? All right. Dirt makes tanks look better too, I think. And RST says definitely. Super clean tanks never look good. Right to me. Pastor Steve says yes. All right. So the whole thing with this was, for me, I wanted to show the whole process, right? And how you can have quite a few little potholes in these sorts of things. So with this right here, Brushstroke is just saying that he has to rush out, and will it be up later? Yes, it will, Brushstroke. But unfortunately, you won't be able to comment live on it. All right. So all of these ones were started off with a black spray, and just not having that black spray, these look a bit off, just not doing that one step. So how you do this one, you swirl a whole lot of the Chardon granite around, and then just do dollops of the black. Now, I've gone over this bit before, so I'm sort of gonna scoot over those bits if you want to go to the previous cards for that. All right, and then there's a whole lot of just fiddly. Oh, I try not to swear, so I'm gonna drink some of my water right now. Oh boy. Oh boy. Some of the times with this, it makes you frustrated when you're doing all those sorts of things. All right, so this is one part which I think is pretty important. So when it comes to some of those tubings, right, you're not going to have an easy color that you can find. So when I took a look at the sort of sewerage piping or the waste piping that you guys might have seen about, I just mix up the black and the gray to get that really dark gray, not quite black piping, to get that going. Hey, laughing boy. I'm just going to give a quick message to me. Head on over. Yeah, he said he just finished up his Bushido. Yeah, we kind of noticed that, didn't we, laughing boy? All right. So, see, for me, color is really important, and that's why I wanted to do up all of these things. That's why I always say you got to find those gaps in your gaming sort of thing, or in this case, gaps in your hobbying. So when it comes to this, just try and find that spot where you can add color, where you can add something. All right, and doing this, guys, is a freaking nightmare. So yeah, just be aware. All right. So what did Scar say? Be prepared. Oh, thank you very much. RST said that they came out really well. So hopefully I will have some more stuff up. We got some great feedback from Oriskany right here. Great weathering on the decking plate. Is that for a space station or a starship? Yep, I do believe that I've explained that one. So next up, we've got Oriskany, and he's done some absolutely beautiful work when it comes to these historicals. Thank you very much, Warren. Warren said nice work. Now, the big thing is for me with these historicals is finally some color. Color! So often when I'm taking a look at these historicals, I just look at them and I'm like, oh my good Lord, why is there no color on these things? And I think that he's done some absolutely beautiful work with these flags. As far as I understand, he's done all of these freehand and they've come up absolutely beautifully. And his lady friend helped out with the basing. And I think that it's come up really nicely. Now, see, once again, when I talk about the 3-element rule, what I'm talking about is I'm talking about having 3 elements, but of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be three different things. You see how the ground is irregular, how there's those little bits of yellow in the flock, how there's, you know, just a bit of texture to it, a bit of oomph, right? Along with the rocks and so on, right? That's what you need, right? It doesn't have to be, you know, every man and his dog, you know, it doesn't have to be everything. All right. So we've got some absolutely beautiful color with these guys. Now, of course, I can't really say too much when it comes to the color of these guys because they're historicals. You know, that's what they are. I can't comment on color contrast or anything like that. But what I will say is because, you know, we try and do critique here as well. What I think needs to be done on these guys is I think they need to get a wash on them. Now, considering their size, I think that you're most probably going to want to water down that wash, but I really do think that they want to wash on them to bring some of that stuff, you know, bring the texture into the model. Because at the moment, especially you'll see it with these guys right here. Take a look at that and you'll see that the colors are just too plain, right? And like there's no bordering in between, and just a wash would fix that. All right, so we've got a hell of a lot here, right? But yeah, for me, it is definitely these flags and of course that beautiful basing. I think that he's done really well with the coloring, and I think that he's done well with the horses here. But of course, for me, it is just lovely to see some historicals with some color. All right, so there is a lot in this one. All right, we have reached the end, and this is the full picture right here. Why is this thing? Hooray! I have fixed it. I knew how to do that. So beautiful work. Seeing some historicals with some color on it. Love it. Love it. All right. Yeah, the Evil Stew says they look really good ranked up. And see, that's another thing to consider when you're taking a look at painting stuff up. So I'm just going to riff on that for a minute. The thing is, when it comes to what you're doing with these sorts of things, just remember to think about what you're working with, right? A 15 millimeter or a 10 meter model is never going to be a showpiece, right? If you're going to do up 500 Tyranid termagants, right, don't try and wear yourself out making them all look beautifully detailed. So yeah, like keep in mind what you're working with. Pastor Steve says, I didn't know that the British artillery gunners wore blue. I don't know. When it comes to historicals, I just go, yep, okay, yep. They've got the pretty colors on. That's what I care about. So yeah. Let's see. Joseph Mallon says, when you have a big enough gun, no one gets to tell you what to wear. All right. So moving on. Next up, we have that finished Panther wagon, which we saw before. So this will most probably be in the back with a whole lot of troops in it. Now, once again, see, this is why I absolutely love seeing these guys up here, because, you know, I take a look at this and it is gorgeous work, right? When it comes to the technical side, Pierre's is just light years ahead, you know, and like, I'm not sure, is he a studio painter or not? Because he was talking about stuff being on boxes for Flames of War. I'm not sure whether he does that stuff or not. Somebody can tell me one way or the other. But the thing is, you take a look at that weathering. You take a look at the way that he does the grease coming down from, you know, the screws and the rivets and all of this sort of thing. Just absolutely beautiful technical work. But it's so boring, you know? And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But yeah, so absolutely beautiful work, Pierre. All right, Warren says his work ends up in the game battle group. I do not know what that means. All right, so here we've got said, and he's finally finished up those mimic hats from before. So what would I? So Warren says, what would I add to this? We'll see. Like that's the problem. When it comes to historicals, you can't add. You know, like when it comes to the because it's absolutely beautifully technically right. And the thing is, for me, what I want to see on the table is rich and vibrant model stuff, which gets you looking at it. Hello, Martin Russell. And that's why I call it the curse of the historicals. All right, Pastor Steve says, kit bash this model into an orc vehicle and put them into it, dressed as German soldiers. That would look cool. So Warren says, is that a problem or is it just the way that it is? So Martin is laughing boy, and the thing is that it is just the way it is, and that's why I call it the curse of the historicals, because there's not a whole lot that you can do when it comes to historicals beyond that technical level of painting, because Pierre's, as I said, does absolutely beautiful stuff, but when it comes to the World War II stuff, unless I see it in those big dioramas, I don't get excited by it, because seeing it as just this individual model, right, is almost clinical, and that's the problem I have with it, because this stuff, while it does look beautiful on a technical side, you need to have a high level of understanding of painting to get to that point. Oh no, so Laughing Boy, yeah, he says, I had no idea you did this live. Just normally catch up when the videos are posted. This is the first ever. Well, okay. Actually, I do all of them live. I just I usually have like a mental script that I go through, but this is the first one that is live through Google Hangout. So this is a lot easier for me because it's from the home, and I like interacting with you guys. It's a lot more fun, because a lot of the time when I'm just talking to the screen, I feel like a bit of a crazy person. Not that I'm not, but when it comes to these sorts of things, often you sort of don't have a lot to riff off. All right, so next up we've got Said, and he's pimping that sale, of course, and these guys have come up fairly well. Now, I've talked a lot about black and how it's a bit of a hard thing to do, but I think that he's done really well with it. So you see that he's done some great layering here to give that appearance of light on the hat. And I think that, it looks just great. And I really love the dull red here. So usually I'm not an advocate for a dull red for the eyes, but since it's a mimic, just perfect. All right. So next up, we have Lights Out, 1985. Okay, so Warren says, but Kerr suggests something is wrong, but for someone enjoying historical, getting a close and realistic end is where the enjoyment is. Yeah, so Warren's right on that end, but the problem is that as a well, that's the whole point of the chat. That's the whole point of the chat, Warren. Killing me. So the thing is, when it comes to that sort of thing, painters have very different goals. Some people want true replication. They want, a perfect simulacrum, but other people want, something that people will really love, something that people will look at and go, "Oh, I really like this." And the thing is, as somebody who comes from sort of the more arty side of the realm, right, and I know about the psychology of colors and that sort of thing. The thing is that with that, I know what the average person really loves, and unfortunately, it's not drab olive. All right. So next up we've got wild. And so this is one of the things that I really love, right? That we've got people like Wild and we've got people like Irish Steve. Wild's come on and he's gone, I want to do this. I want to get these done up. I want to be, painting up something and playing with it. And see, what I really love is we've got Wild here and we've got Irish Steve, and everybody still gets it. And see, that's important to me because, you don't have to be aiming for the very top to be a part of this. And it's important for me to know that everybody is welcome here, no matter what. And what I really love is that we have those top level painters encouraging people like this and asking questions and giving feedback because, otherwise I think that we could get a sense of elitism. All right, so Wild's done some absolutely beautiful work right here. So these guys have been done up, and what I really love is despite him doing these very quickly, he's done beautiful color contrast. Aura in a Bag says exactly what I love about this community is there's room for all. Yeah, and that's the thing. So there's community members that we've had on here who of all types, right? To such a level that some of them that I wouldn't comment on because, like I said, privacy is a big issue for me. So we've had all kinds on here. Some you may not even know just how different they are. And the thing is, I really love that. All right, so back to this. What I love is this color contrast here, right? Just beautiful, just beautiful. So I do believe that he's just put them in these, and he and then what he's done is he's done them in the army painter dip, if I say that 10 times fast. Laughing Boy says, hee, I know, but man, it kills you when you post something and the next person blows you away. Hey, but man, like, take a look at this. People loved it. People loved it. And what's above it? We've got beautiful technical painting. We've got quick terrain. And then this. And Evil Stu says, great work for, quote, quick tabletop paint jobs. Yeah, I think that, like, I would be more than happy to play with these. And see, the thing is, I think these are well above, like, pre-paints, that sort of thing. I think that it looks really good, especially these guys here. I think these guys have come together really well. I'd like to, it's the finicky bit of me, but I'd love to clean up those bases, but that's more just me. I think that these guys have actually, I think that these guys are above tabletop, but I guess my tabletop standard is pretty low, I guess. But these guys have come up really nicely. I think that the hair's been done up very nicely on these guys. And same goes for the fur. But oh, those bases, no. They're just a little black on the side, please. On the side, please. All right. So next up, we've got Happy Howler. Now, guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, go and check out Happy Howler's projects because he does up just absolutely freaking beautiful stuff, like mostly terrain and board game stuff. But oh my good Lord, just so much, and just a wealth of information there. All right, so I really love this dark green cloud that's coming from this thing. Oh, it it just feels so ominous. And I think this sort of semi-gloss to it just suits it so well. Just mwah, just so beautifully, especially when you've got a much more sort of dusty, aged look to the orc down there. And of course, take a look at these bones. Oh, is that not gorgeous, ladies and gentlemen? Is that not gorgeous? All right. And of course, this is the way I like to see bone done up, ladies and gentlemen, like this. But of course, that's just personal preference. But of course, you know, I try and give critique. So the thing is for me, this is what I would call just off. Um, okay, so the Entombed says the smoke is very dynamic with its laying, without a doubt. You're hit it on hit the nail on the head. So the basing right here, it just needs one extra thing and then you're done. Put a rock here, that's it. You know, nail in the coffin. It's all done. It's just when you've got those two elements, it becomes very obvious. And see, the thing is, with it being unpainted, it's fine. It doesn't have to be painted, but you do need at least three elements to sort of get that feeling of realism. And see, the thing is for me, the reason why I keep going on about bases is because everyone can do bases. I don't care who you are. Everyone can do bases. It's not hard. It's so much easier than actually painting. Evil Stu says, nice shading on the face. It's beautiful, beautiful shading on the face. Yeah, without a doubt, Stu. So next up, we have Pierre's showing off the Panda wagon. So this for me is sort of what I was talking about, Warren. So when I see it like this, I get that evocative feeling. When I see it like how it was before, as just sort of a historical piece, I've seen so much of that. Only one pin man. Hey guys, just managed to get onto this. It just lacks that visceral feeling that I get when I take a look at like 40K stuff or Horde stuff or, you know, fantasy stuff. Because when I take a look at that stuff, right, it brings me into it. Now, see, as a rule, I generally don't want to be brought into World War II, especially with recent events going around. Oh, geez. But the thing is, when I take a look at this, I'm brought into that feeling. I have a feeling of what this is, and I think that it looks absolutely beautiful like this, and I get such a greater affinity for it when I have it in its complete context, because when it's just this on a board, it just feels too clinical to me. Especially if it's just sort of that dusty ash field. But like this, oh, beautiful. All right, so yeah, exactly like this, exactly like this. But this is actually much better for commentary, for you know, talking about the technical side of the painting. So one of the things that I think is done really well with this is adding these sorts of guys to the back to sort of give that extra. Okay, Warren just said, is that your knowledge filling in the gaps on the sci-fi stuff? See, I think it's not so much knowledge, but imagination being drawn into it, having that, you know, feeling of, oh, this is what this world is. Now, I don't know how everybody else's education has gone, but I would say that they know just a touch about World War II. It seems to be the only war that we actually properly teach. We don't really teach the atrocities of the communist sides, who just treated their men and their civilians so badly. But I think for the most part, we teach it really well. But the I'm going to get back to the technical side. So what I really like about these guys right here is this helps break up the model a bit. And just this little detail right here, the way that he's done up this artillery shell, right, just adds so much to it. I know that it doesn't look like a lot, but that pure white rim, you know, that brass just breaks up the color so much, and it gives an extra bit of depth to this, which wouldn't be there otherwise. So, of course, as per usual, beautiful, beautiful work, Piers, right? But yeah, I think that this looks absolutely wonderful, man. Absolutely wonderful. All right, next up, we've got Laughing Boy and the Bushido stuff you were telling me about earlier. All right, so Irish Steve just said, love the half tracks, which is, you know, half wheels, half tracks. All right, so Laughing Boy showing off his Ido clan stuff. This reminds me so much of that Conan the Barbarian stuff. And so this, I guess, is where I'm sort of coming to you, Warren, about talking about the being drawn in. So you take a look at this, right, and you get a feeling of this place. And that's what I love about it. As well as just beautiful, beautiful colors. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely beautiful. However, of course, I am trying to give critique as well as, you know, talk about what people did well. If I was in this position, I would most probably do the underbelly a different color, because there are very, very few snakes which actually have the same top side as they do underside. Oh, and warning for our Australians, just keep a watch out, because it is snake season, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so just a few comments. So Irish Steve talking about this one up here, saying converting one for an AdMech at the moment. Now, Laughing Boy said he didn't fit on the base, so used some rocks to raise him up. Not sure if it worked. I think that it worked really well as far as that goes, because I think the main thing is, you know, you've got to fit within the rules of your game. I mean, I'm assuming that these aren't just showpieces for you. And I think that it really fits into the feel of this, which is very important. So I think that that looks really good. So our Steve says, gorgeous, lovely work. And yeah, I think that that's spot on. I think that the skin gets a bit underplayed with all of these bright colors. I think that that looks really good. And I think that you did absolutely brilliant with the base, man. But yeah, for me, that bit of critique would be the underbelly. All right, so next up, we have Weil, and finished up his Mansons for Guild Ball. Masons. All right, one sec. So Laughing Boy has some more. Anything I paint is to be played with. Paint for my kids and me, really. Evil Stu says, nice shading on the muscles and the arms. Yeah, so I think that the skin is done up really well, but I think that the skin, like, is so, like, despite how good it looks, compared to all of this brightness, it feels a bit underplayed, even though it does look gorgeous. That's one of the problems with very bright colors. You can be overshadowed. So yeah, Dr. Ether just added a quick note that he managed it into to get into the Kingdom Death newsletter there, which I mentioned before. All right, so Wild's doing up his did up his Masons for Guild Ball, and now he's just doing up some late Romans. No problems, Laughing Boy. He says, thanks, guys. All right, and he's just going through the whole process he goes through to get these guys done up. Really like the way that these little slots are done up. Have you done them up yourself, Weil, or did you purchase these? Oh no, they look purchased with that little bit of rimming on there. And I cannot wait to see these guys all done up. All right, next up, we've got Richard Biltz, and he's back from the bench after a weekend at the Peaks. Now, this for me is really important because the whole thing is when it comes to these sorts of things, it's very important to show the whole process of it, because Richard builds stuff. Oh my God, it looks so gorgeous when it's all done up. It just looks so beautiful. Now, see, he's doing something similar to what I was doing with the blue tacking, but he's just doing it with tape. So that's some of those handy hints that you have to sort of remember. And take a look in the background, guys. Just remember, you know, it's not just paintbrushes. It's not just airbrushes. You're going to have all sorts when it comes to doing stuff up together. All right. So after that, he dirtied the interior, and oh, wow. That sort of looks like the magic step to me. Like when I take a look at those GW guides, it's like, all right, step one, I can follow that. Step two, oh, that's easy. That's looking better. Step three, magic. Oh, I feel great disgust in myself. So absolutely beautiful. And just showing off the jungle gym that he's done, playground, I guess you guys would call it. Yeah. And it's looking really lovely. I think this is some of the best MDF kits that I've seen in a long time. Absolutely beautiful MDF kits. All right, Ben, I do believe it's me yakking on for a while, talking about how I can't talk. All right, so next up we've got a popful, and I think that these guys have come up so well. To me, they really remind me of Roman legionnaires with this color scheme, and I think that it's come up really well. But one of the things that I'd like you guys to take a look at is this bit right here. So it's just a little thing, but I've got to find, all right. So he's added purple as the purity seals. It's important to just note little things like that when you're doing this sort of stuff up, because keeping that as red obviously wouldn't fit, you know, even if you did a different type of red. So I think that purple's a good choice. It's halfway between what I would have gone. I most probably would have gone on blue for it. But I think that the reason why he chose purple is to fit with that whole sort of imperial Roman-esque feel to it. So I think these guys have come up really well. I'm not sure if these guys are finished just yet. So he says he's finished the squads, still waiting for the transfers from Fallout Hobbies. Oh, those guys are great. I've seen a lot of their stuff. They're beautiful stuff. But yeah, so I look forward to seeing them when they're all based up and everything. But from the moment, I am just going to do a bit more commentary on them. So the thing that I really like is the way this color scheme has come together. I think that it's just so beautiful. So Iris Steve says, really nice color scheme for the Primaris. Yeah, the reason why I like it is just these golds, trims, and how well that goes together with the red. It is just beautiful. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you're taking a look at metallics, don't think of them as metallics when you're thinking about color theory. Think about them as actual colors. So Warren's just leaving a comment before he runs off. See you, Warren. All of the work has been fabulous, everyone. Great stuff, Calidors. Really enjoyable cast. I'll see you all soon, folks. See ya. All right. So I think the thing that is really important is this is actually a 3-color build, right? What is steel when it comes to colors? It's a blue. What is gold? It's a yellow, right? So what this is really just a 3-color you know, a tricolor base colors theme. And despite that, you know, what could look very gaudy comes out as imperial, regal, just gorgeous. So I can't wait to see these guys all done up. I'm not going to give a full commentary on them until I see that, because I feel that I wouldn't be doing them justice. All right, next up, we've got Evil Stu. It said, I just wanted to say thanks for all of the inspiring work and that it motivates him to keep going. And here's some more progress on his Gravedigger. So what I really love seeing this guy more done up right is it's just got such a level of grit to it now. I'm gonna do this up in the other window. I think this is a lot better for zooming in and such, this program. All right. Oh, mildly. After I say that, of course, it all goes wrong. So I think that these guys do being done up as a purple, and that dry brush has gone well over them. But I most probably hit these guys up with a wash to sort of give that vibrancy to the color. So I think that the yellows come up really nice, but I try and differentiate this bone from the yellow in here somehow. Unsure as to how to do that. You know, your guess is as good as mine. I think this stuff has come up just beautifully, but this red and how it contrasts with everything else, just freaking gorgeous. Now, of course, this is just a work in progress, so I'm not going to go into it too much because, you know, we're going to see the finished product done up sometime soon, aren't we, Evil Stu? Sometime soon. So just gorgeous work, and I cannot wait to see it all done up. All right, next up, we've got Aura in a bag, and she has done up an absolutely beautiful wolf. Forgotten what these guys are called again. Are they just the Lupin? Warp wolf thingy. Yeah, the warp wolves. So, all right, Only Pinman says, when it comes to color theory, you don't need to worry too much about silver. It's a very neutral, and generally speaking, it won't impact on your color scheme. So I would say silver, yeah. But just remember that there's a lot of steels that have a lot of blue in them. So just remember that too, folks. So Evil Stu says, haha, soonish, cheers. And Laughing Boy says, pure blood warp wolf, this bloke. All right, so of course, the theme is just an absolutely gorgeous theme, green and gold, the good old Australians. Okay, only one pin man adds one thing. Gold and copper, you definitely need to think about carefully when it comes to color theory. For me, when I take a look at gold and copper, usually for me, gold is just a yellow. It's just a yellow. Much easier to work with yellow. So green and gold, just beautiful, just gorgeous. And I think that the way that contrasts with this pale blue, beautiful, beautiful work. And of course, you know how I love bases, ladies and gentlemen. You know it. So I love the way that it still has a naturalistic feel with how much there is going on it. And see, that's the thing, right? You can have very busy bases and still have them look naturalistic. There's a few comments here. Evil Stu says, great work, Aura in a bag. Nice contrast on the base. Aura says, thank you. Was a very nice model to work with. Only One Pinman says, I like the clump foliage on that base. And the Entombed says, brown armor on the pale fur looks great. Yeah, it does. Beautiful, beautiful contrast. Now, of course, I'm, can't just always be blowing smoke. So I'm going to try and take a look at what I can critique about this guy. So, all right. What I'd most probably look to do is when you want to step things up is a bit more depth in the brown of the bones here to try and contrast against that there. So maybe like that sort of blackish brown at the start of those, and maybe just bring these bits of fur up a bit. But of course, it is absolutely gorgeous work, Aura in a bag. Very, very well done. All right, so Wild just said, try and recover, and this is the end for now. But let's bring this up. This war forums. Oh, of course, nothing is linked anymore. I'm not going to load this whole one, so I'll just go to the forums. See if anybody has done anything up in the meantime. So, ladies and gentlemen, for this short intermission, is there anything that you guys want to talk about? Because, of course, this is a stream and it's meant to be interactive. So, Aura says, thanks, Calidor. Calidors, even. What helps get me better? Getting me better. Yeah, so that's why I try and give critique, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just me being mean to people or anything like that. It's me trying to help people grow. See, that's why I try to call it critique and not criticism, even though they're very much the same sort of thing. It's about the feeling that comes from it, because as much as I do hate the feeling police, oh good Lord, what have I done? Everything has gone wrong. All right, here we go. There we go. All right, everything will be fixed soon enough. All right, remain calm, everyone. Remain calm. So big thing is for me, I try and give is, oh, what are you doing, Paige? They often take it very badly, and my goal is to make people feel welcome, is to help people grow, I think is a better way of saying it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so if you've got anything to add, now is the time before we go to our final ones. All right, so we've got Entombed with an absolutely beautiful piece right here. So this is a tree man, and he's done it up in his cherry blossom theme, and I think that it's come together so well. I really like the green of this sword right here. I feel that it looks really good. I'm going to copy this image location and see if we can do something similar to what we've been doing before. Yeah, that's beautiful. Much better whole shot. And then we'll zoom in. All right, so I really love the color contrast with the pink against the green, right? And of course, that beautiful sort of bone white with the model. And he does this absolutely beautiful stuff with the water effects on the base. Yeah, Aura in the Bag says it's a fantastic color scheme. And if you take this to a tournament, it's really going to stand out because so many people are going to have the same sort of boring looking tree man armies. And like, I love tree man armies, but if there's going to be 3 people with the same thing, it's going to be a bit difficult for your opponents. So the thing is, this is a breath of fresh air for them. So I'm just going to take a quick pause and read out some comments. All right, so only one pin man says, I'm a bit gutted that I didn't have any time to paint this weekend. I was away on holidays and I've been working long hours. I have one Bandito left to do, and he's about 50% finished. So yeah, the finding time to paint can in of itself be a task and a half. All right, so one of the things that I really loved about this is how you used the pink theme with the eyes as well. I think that that's come together really well, and it's very, very subtle. But take a look at the blue within the armor. Oh, just gorgeous. All right, so um, that's I'm unsure what else to add to um, this piece. The intent. I think that it looks really good. Um, for me, like adding to this is so nitpicky at the moment. But like I said, I'm trying to help people improve. So I think this is where I would try and look to do things. Maybe change the hilt's colors so that you've got a bit more another color on the thing. And the thing is that it's yeah, there is so like it's a beautiful model, and there's not a lot I have to critique on it. All right, only one pin man says, I love the base, and that stream is pretty awesome. I love the pink leaves. It gives me a sort of Far Eastern feel. Oh, that's one thing that I wanted to say about these leaves. I really love the way that he's done them up. Each individual leaf with that little bit of edging around. Oh, just gorgeous. All right, so just doing a bit of commentary. Aura in a Bag says, I've been painting a while and enjoying this stream. It seemed like a great excuse to get the paintbrush out. I'm glad that it was an excuse for you to get the paintbrush out. All right. So Intomb said, thank you for all of the comments, everyone, or compliments, as he said. Now, see, like the thing is, for me, I try not, like when I say blowing smoke, I try to make it so that all of these comments are completely truthful, are completely sincere, because the thing is, a lot of people, when they put this effort in, it can be very did I skip one? Oh, so I did. It's yours. Sorry, I just clicked on the thing. I will get to that. I'll go back up to that one, Aristide. So for me, when it comes to this thing, I try to give genuine comments because I know how hard it is to put that effort into the painting and nobody notice. You know, I find it really infuriating when somebody looks at it and they go, oh, it looks all right. It's like, oh, you complete douche nozzle. You wet sack of plastic. Because they don't realize the work that you put in. And I think some of the times that's where you've got to come to other painters for that. All right. So Evil Stay said, yes, the whole cherry blossom feel looks great. All right. So this guy is something very different. And I love seeing that level of difference in the same post because, you know, seeing this, you know, really sort of poxy, pollutant filled terrible place against against all of that sort of absolutely beautiful gorgeous tree folk. It's just such a wonderful contrast and shows the level of skill the painter has. Entomb just said Wrath of Kings, Hammer of Heaven, this bloke right here. So I think that the skins come together all right. I think on the face, it's not as good as you've done on some of the body. I think that the color schemes come together really well. I think that the basing is absolutely phenomenal. But for me, I'd try and work on the face of it. I think that the armors come together just beautifully. But I do think that these morning stars need just something extra. I don't know what it is, maybe a second wash or something like that. But I think that, you know, there's a definite level of difference between these two. They are slightly different in size, I'll give you that one. But yeah, like it just, I just feel that you could bring this one up considerably more. All right, so next up, oh, she is a gorgeous lady, isn't she, ladies and gentlemen? All right, let's go. All right, so as to how yeah, so Entomb says faces are my weakest point. I'll agree with you on that. But see, I think when you, oh, of course, that's great zoom right there. um, so uh, I think that you're really fighting the model with this bloke back here. You know, it's something that you're going to have to put work in to get that one up. But this, like the skin you've done on this, is just gorgeous, just gorgeous. And I really, really love the way that you brought all of these leaf wings together. I think, oh, she is just such a gorgeous piece. And, you know, your choice of color for her um, clothes. I don't know what this thing is exactly, but blue, wow, you know, just beautiful, just beautiful. So I think this has come together really, really well. All right, so I think that um, there's not a lot that I can say in the negative, you know, in giving critique, because I think you've just put so much work into this. Like, take a look at those subtle transitions, ladies and gentlemen. Just absolutely beautiful. And just even just the way that the leaves are done up, just, oh, absolutely beautiful, beautiful work. And I believe we'll have the beetle a bit further down. No, no shots of the beetle. But you put so much work into this, man. Give us a shot of the beetle. All right, so I'm going to read out some comments. All right, so only one pin man says, I've been joined by Kate. She's 3 months old and she was being a pain. So now she's watching this live stream. Well, that's got to be my youngest viewer since Brushstroke's daughter. All right. Ira Steve said she's stunning. Lovely job. Aaron in Bag says, wow. I just keep saying that, but wow. He's gonna miss my memory, but every time you say that, I just keep thinking of that actor who goes, "Wow, wow, wow." The guy with the broken nose. All right, Laughing Boy says that's just awesome. Evil Stu says, welcome, Kate. Katie, I should say. Evil Stu says, amazing work on the golden headpiece. Only one pin man says she's sort of sucking her dummy in reply. I'm taking that as hello, Evil Stu. All right, the Entomb says, will do next time. Picture for the beetle. And thank you. She took a long time to finish. Man says that color scheme is very interesting. It looks more high up than Wood Elf, which for Age of Sigmar is totally cool. See, for me, I think like that sort of Eastern feel has a very sort of regalness to it. I guess because the cherry blossom just has such a reverent stature in their culture. So I'm gonna move on the Entombed, and I'm just going to say absolutely beautiful work. All right, so next up we have, scrolling up, R. Steve, and he says, thank you for thinking of me, R. Steve. Says, hope you feel better soon. I'm not really feeling better, but you know, the show must go on, Steve. The show must go on. So we have some absolutely, absolutely beautiful work here. So I'm not sure whether this is he's gonna be facing off against anyone, or if this is just a diorama piece. But oh my good lord, take a look at the way those robes are done up. Oh, just freaking gorgeous. I'm gonna open this up in a new location like I have been the others. And I know that I'll get a bit more zoom on this one. Will I? Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so work with me here. Work with me. All right. So yeah, take a look at that with the robes. Just gorgeous, just gorgeous. And of course, you know, this sort of non-metallic metal feel to the way that he's done all of that layering right there. Absolutely beautiful. So our Steve is saying that base within a base for a display then pops out for gaming. Okay, yeah, I see it now. So this is where that base is. So that'll pop out for gaming. That's a great idea. Entomb says epic chap. That love that model a lot, and you really made it pop. Yeah, that's one of the things that's very difficult for blacks is making them pop. And or in a bag says about the basing, very clever. But one of the things I really love is just that it's not overly it's not bringing attention to little details like that. You know, it lets you discover them. And see, I think that that's a really great idea. Irish Steve says, a work in progress, but still getting there. Oh, Steve. Oh, Steve, people will hate you for comments like that. All right. So, Oris says, well done and amazing jacket. Evil Stu says, nice leather work on the holster on the hip. Yeah, that is absolutely gorgeous right there. And Only One Pin Man says, black armor is lovely. I am absolutely pants at painting black. Yeah, you're not the only one Pin Man. So yeah, just gorgeous. But take a look at the way that he's done it, that script work. Just beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. And see, that's really important. It gives you you got to do it a bit more naturally. So you've got those long G's, that sort of thing, to sort of help it feel a bit more naturalistic. This feels far more natural than the straight lines. The straight lines often look very generic, is a way of putting it. So before I move off this one, Irish Steve says layering, then glazing for the black armor. All right, so we're getting pretty close to the end. All right, we've got brush strokes just an hour ago, and he says started on the vegetation for his cliff. Look at that. Oh, I'm gonna make sure that I've thumbed all these ones up. And that's one thing that I do, ladies and gentlemen. I just remember that giving those likes, giving those thumbs up, giving those comments keeps people coming back. Like, I can prove it. I have data. But yeah, this vegetation looks just gorgeous. And see, it's just little details like this. Oh, look at that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely beautiful. That's what gets you on the front page of stuff. Only One Pin Man says, oh man, I've been following this on Facebook. Brushstrokes Pirate Island is looking epic. It certainly is. See, what I really love about Brushstroke is he's like, I like The Hobbit. I like Lord of the Rings. That is what I'm doing. Games Workshop says they'll put my stuff on the front cover because it's still Games Workshop stuff. So I'm just going to keep doing it. He just sort of stubbornly keeps going at this stuff, despite the fact they're like, well, if you did 40K stuff, you know, and he's like, God damn it, man. Lord of the Rings. It's fabulous, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I really love that he's sort of going hard with this stuff because it is absolutely beautiful. The work is just gorgeous. All right, next up, we've got Laughing Boy, the Cult of Yuri. I'm just going to go with Yuri because that's what it is without the without the E. Right, so he's so these guys are fully done up, and oh, this guy up the back, just absolutely gorgeous. So let's paste and go with this one. And we're going to be closing out in about 6 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So take a look at that. Just, oh, absolutely beautiful. Like that gives just such a visceral feeling of, you know, that feeling of the ghosts of the, you know, East with this. Now, there's great work with the clothing, but one of the things that you may not notice right away is that all of this is rotting flesh, right? And that's very subtle, just beautiful. All right, so I'm just going to read out comments for a second. All right, the Entomb says, "Hey, this is Sister Superior Skylar. Hey, we haven't seen you for ages. The Entomb had to hit the hay since it's 6 a.m. where we are and hasn't slept for about 30 hours. No problem. All right, Laughing Boy says this is what he did this weekend. Evil Stew. The spectral effect is really nice. Nice color scheme on the cloth. And RS Steve says they're fantastic. Palette is perfect. So yeah, I'd have to agree. But of course, you know, I'm here to give critique as well. And for me, the critique is the basing. So I think that the basing looks pretty darn good. You know, we've got the snow there and we've got stuff coming over it. But I think that you just want some rocks on here. And then I think that would just be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Because at the moment, it looks a bit plain around the edges. So some rocks, you know, a bit of raised ground, something, I think that would really help these guys. All right, so I'm just going to read out comments for a sec. All right, so Laughing Boy said, I tried to make them look the main, like the main guy in the middle is alive. 100%, you hit that. He uses the magic from the pipe, the ghost laid to fill the mask and bring the undead minions to life. Yeah, I think you told that story very well with the way that you used the color scheme. He says, that's my story behind them. R. Steve gives a thumbs up. So the guy in the middle at the back has a normal skin tone. Yeah, no, I picked that up straight away, man. I think that that was great effort on that part. Yeah. Look absolutely great. They almost have a sort of puppet feel to them, the way that there's those really thin joins there. And yeah, I just think that this guy is definitely you know, your number one piece here. I think that he looks absolutely phenomenal, you know, and it shows the work that you put into him. Just beautiful, man. All right, so we get individual pictures of all of these ones, but we've got about 3 minutes left. So rather than going into this picture here, which I actually really love, I'm going to give you to you guys these last 3 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, is there anything that you want to talk about? We've got about 3 minutes, and if there's anything you want to talk about, I'm happy to go through it. All right. So I'm just sort of filling up the air at the moment, just seeing if we're going to get those final comments in. But I think that this cast went pretty well for a first-time cast. So Aura in a Bag said, I really like this as a stream. It was great being able to interact with each other. Laughing Boy said, just thanks, dude, for taking the time and the effort to do these reviews. No problem on that end, guys. So, yeah, I like the level of interactivity because, like I said, when you're doing it by yourself, a lot of the times you can feel like a bit of a crazy person just sitting there going, oh, gee, oh boy, I hope that they don't think I'm crazy. Fortunately, there's a lot of crazy people on the internet, so you can get away with it. All right. Iris Steve said, great stream, Calados. Thank you so much for taking the time and effort that you put in. Laughing Boy said, totally agree, aura in a bag. Evil Stu said, thanks for running this. It was really entertaining. Only One Pin Man said, it's been pretty cool. I will be definitely coming around for future ones. Yeah, so I was thinking this is a pretty good time for me. I was trying to time it so that everybody has a chance to be on. If any of you guys think that there's a better time for everyone, I'll have that in the comments of this thing. But it looks like we're coming to the end. The Entomb says, I enjoyed the live stream, even if it was quite early for us. So I don't know what time it is over there. See, I was looking at the UK as that's where most of the people come from the stream, and it was around midday for you guys. So I'm gonna take a look at different times and see what it is. So let's Or in a Bag says good time for me here in Denmark. So let's take a look at different times, what might be good for different people. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end mark. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a fun time. And for this being my first stream, I think I'm going to qualify it as a success. You know, Katie says goodbye and advises you to keep your brushes wet. So yeah, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you know how it goes. Keep those brushes wet, and I will see you later. See ya.